Up there in age, but I'd like to bring it down.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I'm looking to get some other people through as a board too, so we can talk more about that. All right, now the other thing I have for you guys. If everything I just said, major, minor, Dorian, Mixolydian, was completely, what is she saying? That's not even the language I know. All right, I have this supplement. Big supplement, but you know what? I want you guys to be hooked up. Okay, so let's go ahead and just, I think I have one here. Take one and pass it. Okay.
I have this somewhere.
You have that? That's right. It's in the back of the one I sent you because you're going to be the panel of biz, of upgrade for our class. Okay. So what the supplement's got for you? If you are just like, I don't get this stuff. What we're talking about is modes. Right, and I'll give you a really quick overview. Is basically your major scale is your parent scale. All right. So what happens is you can create new scales by simply starting on different scale steps other than the root. So, for example, here's C. Start here. All right, that was starting off the next note, the D. And I just took the scale steps out of order. I played them from D to D instead of from C to C. Doesn't sound like a major scale anymore, does it? You play the major. Got it? You hear the difference? Second one's a little darker. That's a Dorian mode. And that's all I've done. I've simply started on a different scale step of the major scale.
Oh, here, are these like in order, like C, D, E, etc.?
Bingo.
Cool.
For you guys, so that you guys can play them and compare them side by side. Yeah, this packet's got sections too. So basically this goes into a description of each mode and what it's used for. And we'll get into that in a second. The next part for the upright players, again, and I kind of look at it this way because I came from a classical background. And you know, I'm embarrassed to say, my teacher looked at me and said, I will never have to know this in college. And boy was he wrong, because I use this a lot now, all right? So I kind of understand what the classical players are going through. Most of it they're reading, and they may not really get into these scales, and if they do, it's written out, and they may not even know it when they're playing it. And so this is written out so you guys can play them side by side. Just literally go through a C major, then play the C Dorian and compare it. Okay? And there's also tab under there for a 4-string bass. I was going to put more tab lines for the other basses, but the reality is it would have made this document really huge. So once you find the notes, you can find them elsewhere. Then there's a side-by-side comparison of even more scales. This is something I use for regularly teaching. There's some on there we're not even get into. Then you've got electric bass, the last part. Visual scale patterns, if you don't read. And then it has the notation above, okay? All right. So basically this is the addendum, so to speak, or a supplement to help you out with the scales. So we get this next part, you might have some trouble with it. But if you can read, or if you can read tablature, you should be okay with this. So what I'm going to explain is what's going on. Walking bass is not just that would be morning, really quickly. I mean, I hate to say it, you know, it kind of would be, even though that's kind of where it started in the 20s and 30s. And even before that, you know, Dixieland and all that on the horn parts. So, tuba actually. So, basically, mix some scales in there. But you gotta use scales that work with the chords, because our chords are changing, right? We went from an A minor chord to a D7. They sound different, they've got different notes in it. So you gotta use a chord that's appropriate for the scale that you're on, all right? So for an A minor, I'm just gonna tell you what they are, all right? A for a 7, use a Mixolydian. For our next chord, we've got a G major 7, just go ahead and use a major scale. Same for the C. Okay, this is the fun one. The F sharp half diminished, Locrian. I like that scale. It's fun, it's kind of quirky sound. All right, and then we've got a B Mixolydian. That's going to again be, I'm sorry, our B7 is going to be a Mixolydian mode. All right. So basically, when you see a 7 chord, we call it a dominant 7, we're going to use Mixolydian. When we see a minor 7, we're going to use Dorian. All right. When we see a major chord, we're going to use a major scale. When we see a minor chord, like the E minor, we're going to use a minor scale. You don't know all these scales, and you're just confined to major and minor. For starters, just go ahead and use major for your major and your dominant 7s. For starters, it'll work. And then when you get to the other stuff, the minor chords and the minor 7s, use a minor scale. All right, and you have to use the minor for the F sharp half diminished. Okay, it won't help if you can flatten the 5. I'd appreciate that. Okay. All right, so let's try this. Who here actually knows Dorian? Raise your hand if you know it. Okay, you know Dorian? You should know Dorian.
Yeah, but I haven't really looked at it
Okay. Fingering is 1, 3, 4, 1, 3, 1, 2, 4. Okay. Let's go off the A root for that. I'm just going to adjust the electric players because the upright players, you've got sheet in front of you.
Got a fretless player.
We have a fretless player. Yeah, he's really good actually. He plays upright too. But for this purpose, we're just kind of actually 2 fretless players. Ask him to bring his electric so we have more room.
Great.
And actually, she's taking 2 double bass lessons now as well. Okay, so
So Dorian's just
do that push off the A root. Okay, so what you want to do, just to practice as an exercise, to get into walking with scales, take the first 4 notes of each scale and play them off the root. So I played the